Unashamedly Human moments with Emily are pockets of time carved out just for you to sit in meditation-type contemplation. Being unashamedly human is about being okay with who you are today and giving yourself the power to be fucking awesome tomorrow. And in these short videos, I'm sharing my very own unique way of doing just that. So find a quiet spot, grab a glass of water, and brew up your favourite tea. Have a journal nearby, because when we bring conscious awareness to our emotions, we can change our entire reality. Hello and welcome to Unashamedly Human Moments with Emily. I am Emily, this is Theodore, and let's get started. So, finding yourself in comfortable clothing, in comfortable position, whatever that is for you. If you're on a chair, feet flat on the floor. If you, like me, find it a little bit uncomfortable just to sit in easy pose for a really long period of time, then just grab yourself, this is my Kmart pillow for $7. You can spend a ridiculous amount of money on meditation pillows, but $7 from Kmart, winning. So just pop that, or maybe like a blanket or whatever, under your bum so you're comfy. Oh, and taking a sip of water to start. Maybe taking a really big stretch. So before we get into the silence, before we get into the real contemplation, I just want you to take up a little bit of space. So maybe you want to stand. If I didn't think that my videographer would punch me in the face if I got out of frame, then I would be doing that. But just stretch up and take some space. Today we're going to talk about being selfish, hence the t-shirt. So before we get into it, just start feeling space. Whatever that looks like for you. Stretching it out, moving your arms, reaching up to the sky. This is my space. Spaghetti arms. Showing my age there with that movie reference. So just carving out your space through the arc line of your energy. This is my space. And I deserve to be here. Cool. And if you got up and stood up and did that from standing, brilliant. Join me back on the mat. And just coming into stillness. And as always, we'll just start with some deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with that second breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And there's that little voice that goes, I don't need to do this. You ain't got time for this. This isn't going to help you out. This isn't going to solve the world. Whatever. Just put that resistance down. Push through it. You're going to sit here for 10 minutes. And now we're going to do something with the irritation or the uncomfortableness, especially if you're not really used to meditating. You might just feel a bit restless as you sit down and prepare to go into this space of silence. And that's cool, right? I get it. Maybe you've had a really stressful day. Maybe someone's really pissed you off today. Maybe you're just oh, how am I meant to meditate? I'm feeling really annoyed. Great, well that's what this practice is for, right? We don't have to be calm and zen when we go into meditation. Quite often I go into meditation when I'm in a peak, life is hard kind of mentality. It's meditation that helps me work out what I need to do, or gives me a different perspective, or just fucking brings me back down into I'm cool, man. I don't need to worry about that so much. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I come out of meditation well, that didn't work. But yeah, that's life. May as well give it a bash, right? What? That didn't work. We're going to keep rolling. Because this is life. I'm glad that I amuse my videographer. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I just sat there for 10 minutes. All good. And sometimes I come out and I'm oh my God, I've got this. And it's worth it for those ones. So, breathing in, breathing out. And we're going to go into something now to release some of that tension, to release some of that anger, to release some of that restlessness. I call it twat breathing. I'm pretty sure I made that name up. I'm pretty sure it's like not a real term. But the reason I call it twat breathing is because you sound like a bit of a twat when you do it. So you're going to breathe in through the nose. And as much as possible, you're going to imagine the breath that comes in is one of love and compassion. Oh, my hair in my face. Love and compassion, like a bright white light. And then when you exhale, you're going to breathe first into the belly, then up into the lungs. Don't just breathe up into the lungs. Don't deprive yourself of half your breath, man. Breathe it into the belly first and then all the way up into the lungs. And you're going to hold for a count of 3. I'm going to count that for you. And then when we exhale, we're going to exhale through the mouth and we're going to make a noise. So I want you to bring to the mat right now an emotion which you are feeling, which you feel like you shouldn't feel. So like maybe you're resentful of a friend and you feel like you shouldn't be resentful. Maybe you're angry with your boss and you're like, oh, I don't want to be an angry person. I shouldn't feel angry. Maybe you feel judgmental of somebody, right? These are all human emotions. Don't demonize your human emotion. There's a light side and a dark side to every emotion. There's a light side to judgment. There's a dark side to judgment. That's coming up next week, later on in the week. But don't demonize the feeling. Just bring it to the mat now. All good. And I want you to ask yourself, what noise would that feeling make? If it was a noise, what would it be? So let's say it might be grief, right? We're going to breathe in love and we're going to exhale grief. The feeling that you can like viscerally almost feel in your body. What noise would grief make? And we're just going to let that noise out of our mouth in the exhale. And you're going to sound like a twat. All good. I'm going to sound like a twat too. So we're going to do 3 together. So in through the nose, choose your emotion. Or maybe it's not a specific emotion. Maybe it's just like an icky, gross, annoyed feeling. That's also perfectly appropriate. So we're going to go in through the nose. And we're going to hold for 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to exhale. Sorry, Theodore. 2 more, Theodore. Can you handle it? In through the nose. And hold for 2, 3, 4. And exhale. And the last one, in through the nose. And hold for 2, 3, 4. And then let it all out. Shake out if you need to. Get up and jump around if you need to. If you want to continue doing that breath, if you just want to twat with your breath, never said that before, probably never say it again, then feel free. Like, you can join me in the rest of this practice if you want to. But if you want to continue with that breath, if that felt really releasing, if you are sobbing, if you are grieving, if you are expelling, if you are purging, then keep going. The emotion will not be permanent. You will not stay in it forever, and it cannot hurt you. Get it out of you, because once you have got that low frequency emotion out of you, whoa, then you are open and you have space to bring in the opposite of that emotion, which is joy and love and abundance and connection. So if you want to continue with the twat breath, rock on. If you're continuing with me, bring selfishness to the mat. I am selfish. I used to think for so many years that it was a bad thing to be selfish. I was taught as a very young child not to be selfish. I was the youngest of 3, so I had to share. When I say I had to share, I mean just stuff got taken from me. If my sisters are watching this, I'm sure they would disagree. But selfishness. Nice girls aren't selfish. That's a shame, because I'm not a nice girl. Jokes. So just sit with that for a moment. What does selfishness mean to you? And what do you believe about selfishness? There's no right answer here. There's no wrong answer. Just ask yourself. It's probably a question you've never really asked yourself. What do I think about selfishness? What have I been taught about selfishness? Breathe it in. Breathe it out. I am selfish. When you say to yourself, I am selfish, what comes up for you? Don't judge it. Just sit with it. It doesn't even need to be an answer necessarily. Just sit with it. And the whole point of this process, the whole point of these meditations, the whole point of these unashamedly human moments are to start understanding that being human incorporates hard feelings, easy feelings, good feelings, bad feelings, negative feelings, positive feelings. None of them need to be demonized. You know, part of the self-love isn't about sitting in a fucking bath every Sunday with a glass of red wine and painting your nails. Oh, I'm practicing self-love. No, that's just general maintenance of your body so that you can look good. Self-love is about accepting the bits of you which maybe up until this particular moment you've never been given permission to feel, to experience, to bring forward. Maybe you've been told you should never be angry. Good girls don't make a fuss. I was told I should never be selfish. And the problem with that, of course, is that for a long time it meant that I didn't really have very good boundaries. The problem with that then was that I felt quite irritated by people a lot of the time because I felt like they were taking more than I was receiving. It's really hard to be in a place of love and compassion for another human being when you feel resentful to them because you don't have strong enough boundaries to say no instead of saying yes. So there's a light side and a dark side to every emotion. There is a light side to selfishness. I'll give you an example of this. For a really long time in my business, I felt like I needed to do everything. I felt like I had to hustle. I had to work hard. There's another belief system, a paradigm which really didn't serve me. And it got me to a certain point in business, but it meant that I couldn't scale and grow any further. And it wasn't until my coach pointed out to me that being selfish is actually really appropriate in lots of circumstances and situations. And that's when I began to outsource. That's when I began to build a team. That's when I began to employ other people. And here's the thing, in my selfishness, i.e., I don't like this bit of my job, I'm going to outsource it for someone else to do. You do that so I can go off and do this. In that, of course, actually what I end up doing is contributing more and more to the economy. I'm now paying somebody a salary. So actually, the light side of selfishness is pretty epic. I am selfish. Where do you need to be a bit more selfish? Where would it be really appropriate for you to put down some boundaries? And boundaries aren't always about saying no. It's about saying this is what is appropriate and this is what is not appropriate. It's okay you feel like that. It's not okay that you speak to me that way. It's okay that you're not good with time. It's not okay that you stand me up on a Wednesday night. Quite often, I think boundaries could be better set if people led with what is appropriate first before feeling like they are always cutting someone off. Anyway, it's just a little thought bubble for you. I am selfish. And of course, let's not fucking forget there's a dark side to selfishness. But that does always tend to come from a place of fear and a place of scarcity. So ask yourself, am I unresourcefully selfish? And if so, what is underneath that? No one is born an asshole. We just protect ourselves from certain emotions. We protect ourselves because we're scared. And sometimes that creates a behavior in us that is unresourceful and quite often takes us further away from what it is that we actually want. I am selfish. And again, we're just looking objectively at the patterns, at the thoughts, and the results that manifest from those thoughts. We're not judging it. We're accepting it. bringing conscious awareness to it so that if we want to, we can change it. Breathing in, breathing out. I am selfish. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. And selfishly taking up space, reminding yourself that you are meant to be here. Bringing your hands in to prayer pose and offering up a prayer. Again, if it doesn't work for you, it's just a thought with some emotion attached to it. And I just want you to bring into your conscious mind somebody who you know in your life who could do with a little bit of love. Somebody who maybe needs to be a bit more selfish, somebody who needs to stand up for themselves a little bit more, or just somebody who's having a bit of a shit time. And I just want you to bring them into your heart space now. And we send love, we send compassion. We wish them well. Maybe we'll reach out to them tonight. Maybe we'll pick up the phone and actually call them instead of just text them so that they can hear our voice. Maybe we'll take them to the cinema. Maybe we'll rock up at their front door with a bottle of wine and a pizza and just remind them that they are loved, that they are safe, and that someone's got their back. And maybe it's you that needs that. Maybe you need to reach out today. Maybe you need to be the selfish one and pick up the phone and say, hey, mate, I need you today. I'm having a shit one. Come round, bring the wine and the pizza. One more deep breath and an exhale. Grab your cup of tea. I think this one's chamomile and vanilla. Yes. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me in the Unashamedly Human moment with Emily just now. If you loved it, I would dearly like to hear from you. Please comment in the comments section below. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would truly love it if you subscribed to the channel. That way you will also be able to be notified when more of these Unashamedly Human moments come your way. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's Emily_thatcrazythingcalledlife. And this dude here has his own Instagram account as well, Theodore's_friendbeasts.